where have all the whales gone? This is the question being asked after a marked decline in the migration of the gigantic sea creatures. To tell us more, we're joined by Els Vermeulen from the University of Pretoria Mammal Research Institute's Whale Unit. Very good morning to you. Where have they gone? What's happened?
Yeah, good morning. Where have they gone? That is a big question we cannot answer. Why they're not coming? We're trying to answer that question. So we're looking at a lack of migration and an increase in calving intervals. So what we're seeing is that the whales, instead of calving every 3 years, they're calving every 4 to 5 years. And the motivation of a non-pregnant adult, so males and non-pregnant females, to migrate to the South African shore might not be strong enough in view of the low energy amount. So it's likely related to feeding ground problems.
And this lack of energy that's been cited as one of the problems. I mean, how do they normally get energy to drive them in our direction?
So southern right whales, as most baleen whales, are capital breeders. So they are dependent on very successful foraging in their summer feeding grounds in the Southern Ocean to have a successful breeding around their breeding grounds for South African right whales, obviously our coast. Now, if that feeding isn't optimal, the energy levels will decrease and it will result in a lack of complete migration and a lack of reproductive success. So some of our data has pointed, for example, that whales from the late 80s were 2 to 3 times as fat as our whales are right now. And at the same time, new data has showed that in the last 2 decades, our southern right whales have shifted dramatically their location of feeding, which points towards a large ecosystem change in previous feeding grounds of these animals. Now, as that is related to this decrease in calving rates, we can say that these foraging changes are likely not efficient or successful.
Where's the human element here? Because we are so often responsible for damage to our wildlife and the environment. I mean, I know sharks have also been affected as well. You know, people are saying that this is a lack of food there. Do we have a role to play in this? And if this continues, what does it mean for whales?
So some of the research we've been doing is trying to link all of these issues that we're seeing with the whales with climatic conditions in the Southern Ocean. And we are seeing strong links with, for example, El Nino events or other oceanic conditions from the region. Now, some of these climatic conditions are being worsened by climate change. So, yes, we are seeing and likely showing that climate change might be at the source of these issues with our right whales. So there's your human component. How this is going to play out in the future, we don't really know. If whales are going to stabilize at a 4 or 5 year calving interval, we might come back to certain kind of strong cohorts that come back every so often. So I don't know if people remember in 2018, we had a huge baby boom. So a lot of southern right whales on our coast, over 1,000, with very, very few the years before and the year posterior to 2018. Now, if the calving intervals stabilize, it means that every 4 to 5 years, we might see such a super cohort, as we call it, come back to the South African coast. However, if the situation does not stabilize, then it's going to become unpredictable how many whales we're going to see each year. And that might have some effects, obviously, on the whale watching industry.
Els Vermeulen, thanks for talking to us about this.